With Omegle shutting down, what are some disturbing stories about the site too? Biggest memories from friends and I back? In the day using it where one came across a cam that was fully enclosed as a hello. Kitty head photo SL cut out my friend and I stared at it for a few minutes waiting for whatever the gag would be then after minutes of staring at it, we finally realized the nose was a guy's dong head, where they cut out a hole in the picture and had their dong through it too. Group of guys screwing around on it again came across some guy who was sitting in a chair just giving himself the sloppiest head ever. This thread is going to have some interesting ones, so buckle in, folks. Story 2. I worked at a psychiatric residential facility. We got a call from the sheriff's office that they had received a report that one of our residents was live streaming dangerous self-harm on Omegle at the moment, as well as having a YouTube account full of harmful and sociopathic pranks things that could easily constitute harm to self and others. Had to send the person to the psych ward. The roommate then immediately asked for restraining order. Story 3. I was on Omega with my cousin and my brother, and we came across a very old man who was naked sitting in an armchair in a cluttered Esca living room with a keyboard on his lap and Uptown Funk blaring in the background. Honestly, it was hilarious. Witnessing that and hearing Bruno Mars say, "Don't believe me." Just watch in the background, and here's where I hope that I wasn't good enough of a singer to get content ID matched. Wish me luck. Story 4. I tried Omega once with a female friend. Sitting next to me, our experience was man stroking, man stroking, man stroking. Man's opening line, "So you going to assault that girl or not? Get your breasts out, show your feet, screw that." Girl, "Yeah, man. Stroking, man stroking." Didn't go back respectfully. As awful as these people are, I get it. What did you expect? It is Omegle after all. Story 5. Oh God, okay, well, I was up late on a school night because I couldn't sleep, so I was trying to just pass the time so I could get sleepy. Smart. I know. When I landed on 2 very, very young kids doing stuff, I was in freaking shock, obviously, because I'd never seen anything like that before, and I asked if they were real. They both acknowledged me and gave me a thumbs up. Instantly turned that off and forced myself to sleep. Wondered to myself all night if I was put on a watch list. For reference, I was about 13 when this happened. Still makes my blood run cold. I'm happy the site is dead, but holy crap, it was my first introduction into how dark the world could be. Story 6. When I was 20, I met an 18-year-old guy on Omegle. He asked me what pleasuring yourself meant, so I told him. He later asked me to teach him how to do it. I got weirded out because how the hell has an 18-year-old not explored his body? So I asked him a lot of questions, and I found out he's in a cult. I never even got to know his name, but I hope he's free and got laid a lot. Story 7. Watched a man sound himself with a rusty screwdriver. He asked me basic questions, like if anyone was with me and if I could guess what magic trick he could do with a rusty the screwdriver. I let him know my friend was on the other side of the room on her computer on Omegle. He asked if they would be willing to watch. When I asked her, she was curious as much as I was when I saw what was happening. We both just stared in shock. This happened in 2014. I was a few years into discovering different kinks and stuff, and I had seen sounding with proper equipment, but that screwdriver messed me up for a little. It messed me up in the sense that I just couldn't understand why. Since then, I've come to learn that not everything can be understood. Over the years, I would go through Omegle phases, usually when I was lonely and buzzed. Sober now, I'm kind of glad they're gone though. Story 8. When I was like 13 or something, this 25-year-old girl RPD with me intimately, fully knowing I was 13. In hindsight, it was probably a catfish, but I'll never know. She said it was okay because I'll know what to do when I actually bang when I'm older. She even made me download Kick and kept going at it until I got bored of her and ghosted her after a few days. Maybe not the most disturbing story here, but it's all I have, mostly anonymous. Chat rooms being a breeding ground for predators. Who could have guessed? It's definitely a good thing Omegle's gone. For the record, I have also been on there in the past, I'm not going to lie, but it's never been good. Story 9. When me and my friends were about 13, we used to spoof the camera to show a topless female webcammer. We would offer a frisky show to anyone we deemed to be a weird, frisky dude, provided that they first coated their face in peanut butter. You would be amazed how many people went along with it. Of course, once they were smothered in peanut butter and had their dongs out, that it was all them. We would switch the camera back to showing a bunch of 13-year-old lads crying their eyes out, pointing at them and taking pictures on our Noahs. This is an advanced prank for 13-year-olds, the mixture of spoofing the camera and taking advantage of weirdos on the internet. Honestly, don't hate it. Story 10. When I was like 19 or 20, well over a decade ago, I came home drunk from the bar and was bored, so I went on Omegle. Had to wait through a few dongs and a few people that just instantly skipped me when I got to this one guy who is like, "Yo man, what's up, you trying to see some breast?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it's just a lot of dongs." And he was like, "I got you, babe, come show this." Dude, your breasts. And this blonde girl walked into the frame and flashed me not exactly disturbing, but I think about it. From time to time, you know what it seems like everyone here was a willing participant, and that is the best way to do these things online. I approve this. Gets the seal approval. Thumbs up. Story 11 was with a group of friends. Before they left out of state in a few days, helped them clean out their home. But we came across a tree boy claiming he went to our school and named off every single one of us. We were all around the age of 16, 17, so we were scared crapless. We skipped the guy, slammed the laptop closed, and decided to grab a bunch of butcher knives their mom already had wrapped away in a package box. We played a few games and then called it a night, said our goodbyes, and haven't heard of them or Tree Boy a few. Years later, I move out of my parents, graduate, and have a pretty heavy breakup. 3 years, and as I'm getting ready to head over to my mom's, her home about a 5-minute drive away, I notice a slip of paper that had crayon handwriting on it. It said, "Please don't forget me, Tree." Boy, I literally crapped my pants, slammed my door as I jumped in, and locked the doors. I kept looking around as I drove to my mom's and showed her what happened, along with my siblings, neither of whom were there when it happened, but they still believed every word. Terrifying experience. Had happened 2 years ago, around this time too, and I haven't forgotten about it. It honestly replays in my mind every now and then when someone mentions Omegle Story 12. Remember back when I used to smoke pot and whatever and chat with people on that site? Well, in my early 20s, I used to experiment with any kind of drug I could get my hands on. Got a hold of some DMT and said screw it in the morning, loaded up my machine and opened the site. Took 2 to 3 rips and get completely destroyed. After a few moments, I'm looking at some dude who looked similar to me, but looked strung out terribly. Like after years of drug abuse, and he was living in what looked like a rundown shed. He was telling me I shouldn't be frying my brain on drugs, need to stop, etc. I looked at my camera and saw my hair go different lengths, colors, styles. Same with my facial hair and eyes, kind of like someone smashing the randomizer. On a character creation screen, I saw the dude as a warning of the path I was heading down, and my camera as an identity crisis. Next thing I know, I'm observing my surroundings in my crappy room with a drug dealer roommate next door. I realized I was burrowing my life into a crap storm of unproductive waste and substance addiction. That brief interaction with whoever that was started me on the path of getting my crap together and actually enjoying life without the constant need to feel something other than sober. This has to be the most positive reaction from Omegle in history, right? This is a huge success story among all the awful stuff. Not only just in this thread, but on Omegle in general, this is a welcome reprieve. Story 13. I've heard about some people unaliving themselves on there. Just straight up shot in the head. Most of what I've seen on there were 99% pedos, groomers, Indians that ask for bobs, and 1% of people who are bored or high and wanted to talk to someone cool. Personally, one of the weirdest ones I've ever seen was a man with a full face latex mask with only openings at the eyes and mouth, had a gag ball in and something like pinchers on his nips that were tied to his mask or head. Basically, he asked me to humiliate him and such, then to tell him to pull his head back so that his nipples almost ripped off. I think there was blood as well. Oh, and we cannot freaking forget the people on there that would stream dogs banging women and just gross general Zilia. Gross. And insane people on there. Glad they're shutting it down. Story 14. I know the majority of users' experiences with the site have been disturbing, to say the least, and honestly, you could get away with some serious, awful, unthinkable, unspeakable stuff, but I might actually be kind of bummed out that trash fire of an unmoderated hellscape is shutting down. Bummed out in a sort of, Another thing I used to amuse myself with in college is gone now, since it's for the best. The anonymity attracted the actual worst of the worst to prey on the vulnerable. What's a word for feeling nostalgic for something that legitimately was not good for anyone? Like being told you can no longer lick car batteries because car batteries are no longer being manufactured. Still, the number of times I've seen grown men and banging small animals in my lifetime should be 0 thanks to Omegle. It unfortunately isn't. So yeah, I guess that's another piece of the internet gone. Story 15. Can't forget this legendary comment on Omegle doing Omegle. Things come across this really hot chick. She was already half naked from the waist down. I'm assuming she was in another chat with another guy and he busted and got off at this point in time. I was just chilling, talking to random people and having a few laughs, but this chick comes on and I'm like, screw it. She tells me she wants to see my dong and watch me pleasure self. I politely oblige, and after a few minutes of us dirty talking and watching each other pleasure ourselves, she asks what kind of toothpaste I have. Colgate Optic White. Why go get it and touch yourself with it? I think it's hot as hell, sure, as soon as I start rubbing it in and getting my dong lathered with toothpaste, she starts laughing and disconnects within a few seconds. I realize what was going on. She was going from chat to chat convincing guys to do this and then leaving them, not only with blue balls, but a burning dong as well. Look, if you're that frisky that you're willing to do that for this random stranger on the internet and you don't think about it at all, you kind of get what's coming to you. Story 16. Not disturbing, but a wholesome moment. I was over at my buddy's house. Few years ago, we were drinking and having a good time, and I suggested we go on Omegle for some laughs. The first person we ran into was a man in his garage. Behind this man sat a giant real fire truck. Drunkenly, we asked him to turn the lights and sirens on. He didn't waste any time. He got right into the truck and gave us an entire tour. We spoke with him for half an hour talking all things fire trucks and what got him into collecting decommissioned fire trucks. I still have the video of it, and it's my favorite memory of the site. Story Vector 17. It's not what I saw on there, but what came from there that I saw it was a while back now. Me and my brother used to go on and see all the normal mention stuff, some weirder stuff here and there, but could never know what's real or not. Well, at some point, he thought it would be hilarious to start giving every creep my kick number. I didn't know this. I was getting flooded with weird pictures, not just the normal. Here's my dong and or balls. There were like people just trying to be creepy and weird dongs with hopefully fake blood on them. Lots and lots of poop stuff. Assuming that was probably all the same person. It went on until I deleted that. Kick my brother finally came clean. Afterwards was a good laugh. But the thought of people just sending me that stuff, not knowing if I was a kid or not, was insane to me. I mean, I was probably 15 or 16, and I was probably in no danger. But holy crap, no, I never kept any photos. By the way, story 18, can't remember if it was Omegle or chat roulette, but my buddy and I were cycling through drunk and smoking the devil's lettuce, and a dude from New Zealand or Australia comes up. He was pretty chill, and we're talking weed stuff, and he's like, hey, wanna say something? Sure. Suddenly he's up and moving, laptop in hand, go through the house, open the door outside, starts walking out to a field, gets to the edge of the field and stops. The picture comes into view, and he's sitting there, grinning like the sun, a field of weed, possibly hemp behind as far as you can see in every direction. He was cool. Everything else was just dudes, pleasuring themselves though. Story 19. Never used Omegle's cam chats, just the text ones on the bright side. I met a guy on there who I've been friends with for over 10 years now. On the other, I always thought I was super smart and careful about the info I gave out when I was young. Was chatting with a guy one day, and maybe 30 minutes into our talk, he sends me a link to my Facebook. I was freaking horrified that he could find me. And to this day, I do not remember what I said that he found me with. Thankfully, he wasn't a freak. He was just like, hey, just so you know, this is how easy it was to find you with the info you gave. So please be careful in the future. And don't talk so broadly. Never heard from the man again. And I was, in fact, significantly more careful afterwards. That man is legit a hero. Are you kidding me? This is the internet safety stuff. Needed, not the whatever I got back in middle school. That is a true, like, scared straight moment for privacy online. If someone were to find my Facebook after talking to them for half an hour, yeah, I would hate that. Story 21. I actually have a positive story. When I was 15, I was randomly scrolling through Omegle out of boredom and met another random teen my age. We talked for an hour about music. We liked random topics, etc., and we had a fine conversation after that. We added each other on Facebook and didn't talk again for like 3 years. Eventually, I was admitted to college and was selling some headphones on a Facebook group for buying and selling items at the university. I get a random message from a girl who was interested in buying them, and after chat, we came to realize we had met on Omegle 3 years prior, and we went to the same university by complete chance. Ever since then, we've been close friends, maybe. Some people have met a bunch of weirdos, but I look back fondly on the website up. I hope you know that. This is one and not even a million one. Like 3 million. What insane? Well, actually, that's just meeting someone that you connect with well on Omegle, to be honest. The going to the same university thing, 1 in a billion. The odds are so low. Glad things worked out for you. The rest of the stories in this thread, and most of them not so much. Story 22 came across this girl who, according to her, is being abused by her parents and her boyfriend. I was too young to understand that she was bluffing. Exchanged snap and went ahead with the story, consoling her. Saw it for weeks, and one fine day decided to go into the woods, or at least that's what she said to me, and panic texted me that her ex was going to unalive her and all. She sent me a blurry picture from the woods and then suddenly stopped responding. I panicked and wanted to inform the police, but didn't know what to do. She was from another country. She didn't respond for a couple of days, and then I checked her snap score to see that it was still increasing. That's when I realized it was all a prank. Some 12-year-old out there took a whole month to prank me. Good job. Story 23. IF used to chat with men get naked and they would nut for me, nothing unethical, just two adults being frisky a few years ago. I matched with a guy and we decided to meet up when he was visiting my city for work. The banging was fine, but when I was walking back, it got weird. A man ran up to me on the street and asked if I had had a good night. I had a few drinks. Earlier with the Omega guy and my guard was down. The guy looked normal, close to my age, and was friendly. He asked a lot of questions. Where do you live? What do you do for work? Have you banged tonight? Did you know the man you did, didn't you? He said I had a post-bang glow and he could tell I told the guy to get lost. And he apologized, then smiled and kept talking. He followed me 4 blocks to the subway, swiped, and got on my train. I was shocked. I'd already been ignoring this guy for a block already. I asked where he was going and he wouldn't give me a straight answer. I got off at the next stop and he didn't follow, just waved and smiled goodbye. I waited for the next train and took it home. 3 more stops away, never saw either guy again. Story 23. When I, a man, was a minor, I absolutely spent some time pretending to be an of-agey lesbian seeking e-banging with a fellow lesbian, just so that I could get nudes from people, and it was a more promising method than saying that I'm a guy, and upon receiving nudes, I would use them for more future, convincing, pretending I am confident that 0 of the lesbians I talked with were actually women, and instead were other men doing the same thing. But sometime after this, I was on some adult website, and the clickbait ad about singles in my area was using a nude I had received and subsequently pretended was myself, and I can't help but wonder if me sending that naked photo of some girl I'll never know directly resulted in it being plastered everywhere as an ad for bots trying to steal your credit card info. I hate to burst Ope's bubble here, but it's much more likely the picture was already widely available, and that's how both sources got a hold of it. It was not some original content that you were sent up. Sorry. Story 24. My kids, who are adults now, were about 13 and 11 when they told me they'd been on it at a recent sleepover as a family. We went to it at the kitchen table. The first one was a guy playing a violin. He did a great job until he stood up and we saw his junk. Next one was a full screen of dong, then more dong, then a dude giving another dude a blowy. Then a couple younger girls that skipped past us wicked fast, and yep, more dong. We agreed as a family that watching dong wasn't fun. Never have I ever thought in my life that Omegle was a family activity. This family decided to give it a try and it didn't work out, so it looks like I'm justified in that opinion. I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 families out there, though, that loved Omegle as a family. I will never understand it, and I don't think I should anyway. Everyone, give a salute to Omegle as it sails off into the internet wasteland. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one.